Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TaughtToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about the length of your prayers. Many people do not get their prayers answered because of the length of them. They truly believe, as Jesus talked about, that through their much speaking, they'll get their prayers answered. I deal with this in my book, Prayer That Actually Works, which I'll put a link in the description below. You ought to get it if you're not getting your prayers answered and want to learn how to improve your prayer results. That book will definitely help you. But here's something interesting to think about. When Jesus is asked how to pray, the disciples want to be taught how to pray. The prayer Jesus gives, let me read it for you. I want you to hear this. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Now I want you to notice something. That is under 30 seconds. There are people talking about, I prayed for 1 hour on this one subject. Do you see something wrong when Jesus teaches you how to pray and it's 30 seconds, and yet you're praying for an hour for one thing? And Jesus covered so many subjects in that 30 seconds, but you're praying for an hour on one thing and not getting your prayers answered? I'm not telling you that you have to pray short prayers, but too often when you get into long prayers, the real thing that is going on is you're faithless. You don't believe. You have no confidence in God's answering you. You have no confidence that what you're praying is going to get results. And so you keep droning on and on and on, hoping that somehow you get the right combinations of words, that's going to get the result. And it just doesn't work. And you see this because people constantly are going through the same issues over and over again, and yet not getting any results, but they're talking about how long they're praying for these things that they never get results in. Or if they get results, it's some random coincidence that they attribute to somehow their prayers got answered. Meanwhile, not explaining all the other hundreds of times their prayers never got answered. They must have not had the right buzzwords and keywords together to get God to all of a sudden respond, which is nonsense. Prayer is not magical. You don't have to use some right keywords and right buzzwords and phrases that somehow gets the magic result. When you have faith mixed with one single word, you'll get more results than 10 million words from someone with no faith. You're in need and you cry out help, and you truly believe in faith that God's going to help you, you'll get results that people could never get with all their great swelling of words. My friend, this is one of the keys to prayer. Faith. Truly believing in your heart that what you prayed for, believe you received it when you prayed, you'll have it. But I guarantee you do not believe you received it. No matter how much you may protest to the contrary, you don't believe, you don't have faith when you're praying for hours and hours about the same thing. Maybe not in the same time, but you're going day in and day out praying for the same thing. You don't have any faith for that. Because otherwise you believed the first time when you prayed that you received it. Why would you keep asking for it? This would be like a kid. You hand them the toy they want, and then they keep going up to you every day asking for the toy that's in their hand. No, you don't believe that you've received it, so that's why you keep asking for it. That's why you keep begging and pleading and thinking maybe there's some new way. Maybe if you make prayer miserable for you, where you go and drone on longer and longer, and make sure get on your knees because that will really make it hurt. It's uncomfortable. You don't want prayer to be comfortable. And all this nonsense that people dream up to make prayer difficult, thinking that that difficulty is going to then generate some sympathy in God's eyes and He'll answer your prayer. But it's never been that way. God never promised to answer a prayer because you've made prayer miserable for yourself or hard on yourself or difficult, or gave great swelling of words, or gave vain repetitions. No. What He demands is faith. He that cometh to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. You're not going to please Him without faith, and you're definitely not going to get your prayers answered without faith. That is the key ingredient to answered prayer. Now, as I said in my book, Prayer That Actually Works, I go into more detail explaining prayer, explaining how to pray, what prayers to pray, how to get yourself into faith so you'll get your prayers answered each and every time. But you have to understand, long drawn-out prayers are not where the miracles occur. The miracles occur in that short, brief point in time when you believe. I think most prayer is blasphemous at best. It demeans talking to God. It presumes Him to be powerless. It presumes Him to not hear, to be deaf, and turning a deaf ear and a blind eye to you. Because you go in repeating the same thing over and over again, the vain repetition, day in, day out, never having faith, never believing that you've received, and getting the result of that lack of faith, which is no results. The best you can ever hope for is some random coincidence that you can then ascribe to your, well, see, my prayer was answered. No, it wasn't. Events just, thankfully for you, worked out in that situation that you could interpret it as an answered prayer. But the reality is your prayer wasn't answered because you never had faith to begin with. This is where it's so important to have the tools to build your faith. You could be like the man that when he came to Jesus, he knew he didn't have enough faith, and he said, "Help thou my unbelief." How do you help your unbelief? How do you get rid of it? How do you replace unbelief with faith? By practicing the faith that believes when prayer occurs that it received. How do you do that? Through gratitude. Gratitude is so important, but you never say thank you for something that you haven't received yet. But what if you did receive it? How would you thank God then? How would you act? How would you behave? What would your prayers be? Would you keep praying for the same thing that you had received? Would you not be grateful for it and keep going day in and day out asking for the thing that you had already received? No. But that is the way many people approach prayer. They ask for something, they claim to believe for it, and the next day they ask for it again. Well, you didn't believe you received when you prayed. And you won't have it. Because you're double-minded. A double-minded man's unstable in all his ways, and let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord. So if you're receiving anything, it's not from the Lord. I'm not saying it's from Satan. It could just be chance. Time and chance happens to us all, as Ecclesiastes says. It could just be because other circumstances, the way things worked out, you received what you perceived to be an answer to prayer, but it wasn't, because you never had faith. And let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord, because you're double-minded. And if you say you're not double-minded, then why would you pray over and over again for the same thing? Now, my friend, please understand, this is not to be harsh. This is to wake you up, to ignite within you the desire to be full of faith, to be a faith-filled person who truly approaches prayer believing that God is not just able, but He is willing and actively participating in answering your prayer each and every time. For many people, they can't even imagine that. Each and every time, oh, that's ridiculous, because what about this, this, and this? They always have excuses, but it all boils down to they don't believe it. And according to your faith be it unto you. You don't believe God's working and giving you the desires of your heart, and then when you ask for those desires to be granted to you, that He's not going to work that out in you? You don't believe that? Well, you won't get it. You will have exactly as you believed. But the problem is many people are believing for way less than God's put in their heart to receive. And they don't have the faith to expand out and just say, God, I would like this. You've put this in my heart. For some reason this is here. I need this. I thank you for it. I receive it right now. There's a mentality of, well, I only want to ask God for just a little bit, just a tiny bit over here, what I need. That's all. Why not ask God for everything? Then if you get 30%, 40% of it, then you've received thousands of times what you would have got when you weren't asking in faith and when you weren't even asking for those things because your faith wasn't big enough. The scripture also says, you receive not because you ask not. Think about that. The very basic thing is asking. Many people don't even ask. They go to God with complaints and maybe asking for a few things here and there. They've been asking for years and they never get their prayer answered. But what if you don't even ask? You get the opposite problem where you're not asking for the same thing over and over again. You're not asking at all. And my friend, you can't get your prayer answered that way either. You have to ask. This is a participation between you and God, a friendship. You can't expect your friend to just load you down with things every single day, giving you everything when you don't take any active role in that endeavor. You have to seek God. You have to petition Him. You have to ask. You have to believe. And then you'll receive. The action's done on your part. Now it's just a matter of walking in that faith and you will receive. Jesus promised it. So my friend, today I ask you, really consider how you're praying. Is your prayer faith-filled? It's truly believing God? Or is it doubtful, double-minded repetitions? Really consider this. If you believe you need more help on this is something that you need some help building your faith, get my book. I linked it in the description. It will bless you. It will help you learn how to get your prayers answered and have your prayer actually work. May God bless you richly.